Hello, my name's Jeff McLeod. I'm a filmmaker in Brisbane. I also represent a growing number of people in this country, Helmet Freedom here in Brisbane and Freestyle Cyclists in Melbourne. I'd like to get onto my presentation to you today. It's important to know that we are not talking about helmets. We are talking about the helmet law. The two are very different. I'm not going to stand here today and tell you that somehow a helmet just doesn't work. I'm going to tell you that the helmet law doesn't work. The facts are that in 1991, mandatory helmet laws were introduced. There was up to a 30 to 40% decline in cycling overnight, and up to 80% among school-age women. Today, 2 to 3 million Australians don't cycle because of these laws. In fact, the latest 2013 Cycling Participation Survey shows that 41.7% fewer Australians cycling daily than there were in 1985-86, despite a population growth of 43.2%. That number is truly worrying. Mandatory helmet laws have done nothing for injuries. We saw a significant reduction of cycling fatalities in the 80s, from 98 to 41. It came down before the law was introduced. Also, we could record the same trend for every other road user, such as pedestrians, motor occupants, motorcyclists, and of course cyclists. And the same trend can be measured in other countries without mandatory bicycle helmet laws. The notion that we've created this safe space was because we were more aggressive with drink driving, we were more aggressive with motorist behaviour. It made the roads safer. That is what saves lives. This shows us that it's better to focus on making it safer to ride than making it safer to crash. Mandatory helmet laws have also changed the type of cyclists that we see on our roads in Australia. You see, a 30 to 40% reduction in cycling did not follow a further 30 to 40% reduction in injuries or fatalities. That's because helmet laws have driven off all the safest cyclists and only left us with the sports cyclists, the risk takers. We've known this since 1985, when we did a study that showed that the cyclists who were wearing helmets at that time were at more risk of serious injury. And in Holland, they have done the same study and found the same thing. The cyclists who are wearing helmets are way overrepresented in hospitals. In other countries, cycling is safe because their utility riding population is the base of the population. It is the majority. In Australia, we drove ours off. Mandatory bicycle helmet laws have also caused the failure of our bike share systems. Australia has the only 2 bike share failures in the world. Melbourne and Brisbane have got quite good infrastructure, lots of tourists, lots of great weather. Again, we can't get them to work because you need to buy a helmet or you need to wear a shared helmet that someone else has been wearing. Yet in New York, they've had 5 million trips in 5 months with their new bike share system in car-centric America, and only 24 minor injuries. Mandatory helmet laws have not been thought through. They are not fair. Pedal cabs don't need a helmet if you're a passenger and on the road, because somehow being a paying passenger is okay. Skateboards can go on 50-kilometre roads without needing a helmet, but the minute the same person jumps on a bicycle, they are a criminal in this country. Horses, roller skating, ice skating, football, babies in jogger prams all don't need helmets. Remember, the majority of head injuries that occur on our roads come from the inside of a motor vehicle. And we don't see motorists all wearing helmets. They judge the risk of head injury to be quite small, and we accept that. Interestingly enough, our life jacket laws, if you could look at the life jacket like a helmet, they recognise high and low risk areas. There are certain laws for certain types of behaviour, and there are certain laws for other types of safer behaviour. You wouldn't put a life jacket on everyone who gets on a ferry in the morning. The same should be with our mandatory bicycle helmet laws. In fact, there are more exemptions for seat belts than there are for bicycle helmets. If you're a delivery driver, if you are a cab driver and you're concerned about your safety, if you are overweight and need a medical exemption, or you have a classic car and it just doesn't have seatbelts in it because it was made before seatbelts were pretty much invented and came standard in a car. You can all have exemptions for those. But no exemptions exist for bicycle helmet laws other than in some states you can get an exemption based on medical grounds if you have skin cancer and prove you have the skin cancer, and for religious reasons. I know as a parent of 2 small children, I am angered that I cannot put a wide brim hat on their heads when we are riding for long periods in the sun, because we know that sun damage is caused after 10 minutes. And if I do, I get other people coming up to me saying, "You're a bad parent." Yet we live in a country where 2 out of 3 people get skin cancer. Mandatory helmet laws have had a negative effect on public health. That is their greatest tragedy. By reducing the amount of cyclists cycling, we're reducing the enormous benefits of cycling. The benefits of cycling are huge. The risks are small. But by focusing on eliminating those small risks, we are killing many more hearts. In 2008, we were the fattest nation on earth. Active transport for school kids has gone from 85% to 5%. $16 billion of taxpayer money is going to fight obesity-related illnesses. Type 2 diabetes alone is going to bankrupt our health budgets in the next few decades. Still, we claim that people who don't want to wear a helmet are some kind of medical drain on our society, which is simply not true. They are doing a healthy exercise. We shouldn't criminalise them for it. In 20 years, no one has followed Australia's example, except for New Zealand, where the laws have been equally, if not more, disastrous. The Northern Territory government, however, partially repealed the law in 1994, and since then they have now the largest percentage of cyclists in the country, and among them the largest percentage of females. It's not such an outrageous concept to exempt helmet use for 50-kilometre roads and separated bike paths. Our separated bike paths are no more dangerous than Europe's. If you're concerned about the environment, if you're concerned that the fact that we have reached over 400 parts per million CO2 in our atmosphere, if you're concerned about congestion and creating livable spaces in our cities and towns, and if you are concerned about health and sedentary behaviour, then support reform for bicycle helmet laws in Australia. What is Australia's problem with choice? 99% of the world has it. We should too.